Who's eating good? Served by Applebee's. As you heard, Tank Bigsby, the radio call of him rumbling into the end zone. He's got the Packers this week, Matthew. Tank Bigsby comes in as RB what for you?
35.
Okay.
The challenge, I think Tank Bigsby is awesome. I think he's a really good running back. Here's the concern. He has a less than 1% target share this year. He is just not involved in the passing game at all. Even with Travis Etienne out last week, it was Dearness Johnson, Lawrence. As you mentioned, you got double-digit fantasy points out of him. And so going against the Packers, you have to assume they're going to be a negative game script here, given how well the Packers offense is rolling, how poorly the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is well. And so the problem here with Bigsby is not only the fact that they're going to be big underdogs to the Packers in this one. Is right now they're 4.5-point dogs, and I bet that line moves as we continue to get closer to Sunday. But the next 4 games, they're at Philadelphia, home to Minnesota, at Detroit. So is Tank Bigsby kind of a sell high? Because again, if they're going to be a negative game script for the next month, it's going to be either Travis Etienne or Dearness Johnson, who's their passing down. Bigsby's played on 17% of pass plays this year. Just 17%. And even when he's out there, they're not throwing him the ball. So the hope with Bigsby is that the Jaguars can keep it close enough that they're running Bigsby, and if they get in close, they use him at the goal line. So you need Bigsby to, I think what you're going to need in these games where they should be losing, you're going to need Bigsby to fall into the end zone, which is certainly possible. He's really good around the goal line, but he's a touchdown-dependent flex running back is what he is. And so going up against the Green Bay Packers, who have a decent, not an amazing, but a decent run defense, like they're middle of the pack.
Yes.
He's my running back 35 this week.
George Pickens, he's got the Giants this week after he ate good against the Jets, looking to continue that streak against New York teams. Lawrence, how much does Pickens' value change with Russell Wilson under center?
To be honest, not that much, if anything, right? If you could just throw the ball up and you hope that he comes down with it, that's pretty much what his fantasy value's been this season. In 4 separate games that Russell Wilson did not play, he has catches of 40, 27, 31, 38. So he usually gets that one big catch per game. Like, he had 111 yards with Russell Wilson, but he's got a game this season where he's had 113 with Justin Fields. Now, I think the small difference comes on that goal line end zone touchdown catch that he got. That was a nice touch by Russell Wilson. I think that's where you give the slight edge there. But other than that, like, are you going to have, a ball bouncing off the DB's back or in him juggling to get an extra 10 yards or him coming back to a duck to catch it? It's if you could get him the ball in his area, that's his fantasy value right now. Yeah. So a little bit difference, but not really, because they still want to run the ball.
And some of those big plays were against backup corners. So
backup corners.
The Giants secondary is great, but just in terms of how sustainable this is.
Yeah. So I don't think it's like we're not moving George Pickens up into a top 15 receiver because Russell Wilson is in there. It's not. Nah.
He still takes too many plays off.
Yeah. And the snap count going down the week before.
That's probably the biggest thing. That's probably the biggest thing.
Our last player here, Matthew, Kyle Pitts. He's got 3 straight games with 10-plus points. Does he finally have a fantasy floor?
And that's the weird thing, is that we thought with Pitts he's like more of this boom-bust guy, but very quietly he's become a floor tight end. 3 straight games with double-digit fantasy points, the first time since weeks 14 through 16 of 2021. He's had at least 7 receptions in 2 of those games, and he's actually got a career low average depth of target of 7.8. So again, like, he's getting these easier catches. He's getting these, this quicker stuff, which is keeping his floor high. Maybe it's limiting his upside somewhat, but Ray McCloud has come back to earth a little bit. Darnell Mooney hasn't been as hot as we've seen him previously in the season. Obviously, Detective Drake London, friend of the show, is going to get his. But yes, suddenly Kyle Pitt, I'm at tight end 9 this week, and he's become kind of this low-end tight end 1 where he was drafted, kind of a nice floor play that seems to be involved on some level every week of the season. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.